I did a good job. You can never say that. I was a good housewife. So if I ever went back, I'm sure I would be able to do it again. If I didn't, my time was really good there. Like, they're not forgetting my time there.
Welcome back to Housewives Nightcap. We have the queen of the Berkshires, the wonderful Dorinda Medley is live from the Bluestone Manor. We're not live, but
we're not live, but she's live. Bluestone.
I am live. I am at the Bluestone Manor. And you know what's interesting? This is the front of my book, which y'all know. And this is the back, as we have it. And there's the painting.
Oh my God.
Oh.
I love it.
There you go.
I love it.
See? It's a very meta moment.
We read your entire book. We each read it in like a day. We are obsessed. You gave us everything we had hoped for. Why was it time for you to write this?
Time means everything, right? I mean, well, first of all, it was COVID. So that was great. And I was back at Bluestone Manor. And as everyone knows, I was on pause. So it just seemed like I'd come full circle. I grew up here. As you know, the book starts off with me talking about being on pause and then going into my childhood when I would say, when can I get out of this place? How can I become bigger, better? Am I going to just end up in Great Barrington? And here I was, full circle, you know, sitting in my living room at Bluestone Manor, a mile away to maybe 2 miles away from my parents' house. I never always say 1, 2, 3 miles, close by to my parents. And it was just the right time to sit and reflect and think about, how did I get here?
How was the process? Because not only are you looking back on your life, but this was also the first time in 6 years that you're not filming, which I would imagine was kind of weird for you.
Well, yeah, it was, you know, I was lucky because I felt like, I think it would have been a lot harder if it were full fall New York, but because it was COVID and everything was quiet, I strangely felt like if there were a year to take a pause, boy, did I get lucky, because there wasn't much going on. And I think that the girls, you got to give them credit, really hard season to film, because unlike the other franchises, I need everyone to hear this because I know everyone's saying a lot of stuff. Unlike the other franchises, the city is a character for the New York.
That is so true. That is such
a character. So you know what? When you remove New York City from the New York City housewives, you know, New York is an entity in itself. You know, people live in America and then people live in New York City. You know what I'm saying? So when you take that away, the people, the background, the parties, the street lights, the noises, the restaurants, that's who we are.
Right.
You know, the other girls, they have huge homes. They have, you know, backyards. They have, you know, so they could manage around it. So I want everybody to stop being so mean about that, because they were brave to, I don't even know, listen, I was on pause, so I didn't have a choice, but I think it would have been difficult to film during COVID because I was afraid. So if I was going to stop and write and reflect and not worry about what's going on in the rest of the world, this was the time. And I treated it like a job up here. I have such respect for writers because it is such a hard discipline. And it's something that requires you to be very isolated and quiet. And those are things I don't like.
I read it, like Emily said, we read it so fast. I think you are a writer. And I was very intrigued the entire time, especially when you looked back on your time with Ralph in London. And then also you revealed that you were teaching aerobics to a serial killer.
No, he didn't take the class. He would just help me. And there's something
that's even more weird.
Yeah. Well, but you know what? Talk about your sixth sense, intuition, God. My mother would call it Holy Spirit. I never felt comfortable around him.
You knew, you always know.
And I was, you know, as we get older, we're much more quick to say, it's much easier to say no, or that doesn't make me comfortable. But when you're young, you know, especially as a young woman, you know, you're much more of a pleaser. So you don't want, oh my God, thank you for helping me. But there was always something, and he would linger. And, you know, and I was in a part of London that wasn't London. So I'd go outside of London because to give people access to aerobics, which at the time was a rage. And I taught it in New York when I lived there. So yeah, can you imagine?
What was the hardest part for you to go back? I mean, I imagine the answer would be Richard's passing.
Yeah.
Was that the hardest part for you to revisit?
Terribly hard.
Yeah.
In fact, I've had like a bunch of interviews about it, and I started like almost crying, because you got to remember, by the time you guys met me, Richard had passed. And I'd had time to restore him in my mind. So he was the Richard that I lived with and loved and had a life with. He wasn't the Richard that I sort of journeyed to his, next life. And that was terrible time. And I hadn't relived it. Like literally I was sort of like, okay, let's go. We got to keep it moving. Like it was too painful to ever think about. Too painful for me, too painful for the kids, too painful for our lives. Like all of us needed to heal from it. And the way to heal from it was just kind of not talk about that journey. We talked about more about how we missed them and how it was so much fun and what a great father he was and what a great stepfather. So to go through that was like, I not only felt kind of sad for myself, I felt sad for the kids.
It made you who you are. And I think I just understand so much your struggle and how you have truly made your message, and you've really done that.
It wasn't always easy. And, I have to say my daughter, Hannah, who is a classics writer and an academic, she helped me so much to go deep and do that. Like she literally goes through the chapters with me and say, you need to talk about it more. You're talking about it in your head and you want to tell the story verbally, but remember, the audience needs to hear what you're thinking. Pretend we're at a cocktail party right now. I'm like, oh, I can do that. Oh, I know how to do this. And so she was a huge help. And it was great for Hannah because Hannah said she had this moment where she was like, that she's like, wait a second. I call grandma, and you call her grandma, but at one point she was your mom, and you talked to her the way I talk to you. She said, I know that academically makes sense, but it's weird. She said it was like this.
You lived like the most fabulous life in so many ways. It sounds like your dinner parties were the most epic thing ever. And I need to know about Angelina Jolie.
They still are.
They still are.
But
I need to know about Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt being at your house.
That was a great dinner. That was at the time, Richard was hugely involved with charities and anything to do with building communities and he really loved local charities in New York. He was like, why do we have to go so far away when we can do stuff in the backyard? Like Richard was the guy that would literally, when charter schools were just beginning to open, remember when the whole charter school thing started? It was such a new concept. He would go and buy the computers for, the whole school. That was his sort of thing. Because he really was someone that understood the idea of living in the community, just sort of not, and living with the community. And when Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt did that whole, it was after Hurricane Katrina, they did that whole rebuilding of the community. Remember when they built, Richard got involved in it. I think it was the TED conference or the Aspen Institute. I don't know, but Richard did both of them. They somehow joined up with them and we decided to throw like this incredible dinner at the townhouse, and Father Tutu came and Saul Kersner started Atlantis. And
that is so amazing. And then another amazing story that I just want to point out is your first date with Richard, or I don't know, it was like
the first big event.
Yeah.
Was the Met Gala.
Met Gala.
Yes. Yeah.
Were you like we cover the Met Gala every year and it just feels so mysterious what goes on inside. Like,
but I think it's very different now than it was back then too, because it wasn't as commercially. Like it was, it was really sort of, it was always a vetted, but it was more like a huge old school kind of New York event. And walking up those steps, I mean, no one wanted to take a picture of me back then, but if I could only walk up those steps now, maybe they'd take a picture of me.
Dorinda, I mean, we need you back in our lives. I mean, we have
everywhere
with this, which I'm going to keep saying we loved, but we need you back.
Oh, thank you. Well, who knows? I think they should do something at Bluestone Manor.
Okay, so we said something about that a couple weeks ago. I'm like, that would be a fun reality show of some sort, like
or something like it, some version of it. I don't know, like doing crazy dinner parties or having wacky guests or having wacky visitors. But you got to remember Bluestone Manor now, or you have to. I mean, one thing I realize is Bluestone Manor is almost like an urban legend to people.
Yeah, it is.
I think people think it's real. I told Darren this, I'm truly, Cinderella, and when you go to Disney for the first time and you really think Cinderella lives in the castle, and it's not till about, well, for me, until about 16 that I realized it wasn't true. I think they think this about this place. Even sometimes when I put my Zoom on and it's here, people are like, "Oh my God, are you at Bluestone Manor?" I'm like, "Yeah, I live here, everyone. It's not a film set. The fish one wasn't for Luann. That was really my stepson's." So it's funny that I think that's, even doing this Airbnb thing, I'm so excited for people to see it, to see how I host, to see how I entertain, to see the colors, to see the grounds, because you don't really see it in its full greatness on the show.
I will say, I am missing your Christmas decorations on RHONY right now. This is around the time that we would see it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Are you dating, Dorinda?
Trying. It's hard, but I've got so much going on. I've got, first of all, we're still, I don't know, are we out of COVID? I mean, where are we?
That's true.
Yeah.
Where are we? I was talking about having a big book party, and it's kind of seemed inappropriate because I really feel like people are sort of not sure what it's looking like. It's very hard, right? And I've been on the league a couple times, but it's funny. The minute I kind of get to the point where people are like, "Okay, let's have dinner on Tuesday night," I'm like, "I don't want to."
So, Dorinda, you talk about it in the book. We talked about it briefly that, you were put on a pause. Do you think it's going to hit play? I know, pause. I don't. Do you think it's going to hit play next season? What do you think?
I just don't know. I think, we are just in such ever-changing times. And I don't even think they know, and I try not to even think about it because I really want to enjoy this moment of the book. Right. And I was on Watch What Happens Live the other night.
We watched.
It's so fun.
Oh, good. And it was good for me to go because, you think that you've been forgotten, you know what I mean? So it was nice to go. And, I came out 10 minutes before the show started and everybody was so happy. So it's such a great ego booster to, COVID isolated us, right? And then me being on pause and then writing the book and stuff, we got isolated a bit. So you never know, Are
you in touch with the ladies? Are you in touch with even Bethany, Carol? I know you're friends with them. Do you think they'd come back? I want all three of you back.
Yeah, we desperately need
I think they should bring all the old girls back. Throw everybody in a room. Throw in let's all get over who's drinking.
Let
people have fun. Just close the doors and come back 20 hours later and you'll have a show.
Yeah.
Yup. 1,000%.
I love it. We miss seeing you on our TVs. We miss your martinis, your dinners.
Yes. How about
your
my sloppy speeches?
They're our favorite.
The best thing about that speech, someone said to me the other day, you could do that speech. Do you remember what you said in that speech? I said, here's the weird thing. In my mind, I was completely clear. I didn't know that is that not one of the funniest speeches ever?
It was so good.
But I love that about you. You can laugh about yourself. And even in the book, you say, I've learned when I'm sad, I shouldn't drink.
Yeah. And it goes terribly. If I'm happy, I'm a great happy drinker. If I'm sad, watch out. My mother always said that about me. My mother did say, she said, Dorinda, she didn't say it about the drinking. When I was about 12 years old, she said to me, the thing about you, Dorinda Sigala, is you have a thing called charisma. But when you're good, you are great. And when you're bad, it's a storm. I did a good job. You can never say that. I was a good housewife. So if I ever went back, I'm sure I would be able to do it again. If I didn't, my time was really good there. They're not forgetting my time there.
No.
As I said to Hannah the other day, make it nice really has become my calling card. If I swear to God, there is not a day that goes by unless I stay in bed that someone doesn't say it to me, okay? And at the gas station, oh my God, they make it nice. And I mean, you just can't imagine. So I said, Hannah, just make, just when I pass, I want you on my gravestone to say, made it nice. Cocktails at 7. She said, that's morbid. I mean, you can never take that away from me.
You can't.
No.
I mean, when you hear the word make it nice, people just think of me. I'm synonymous with that phrase, that sentiment now. Because we all like to be acknowledged and praised for our things.
We do. And we acknowledge and praise you, Dorinda, because
thank you.
So good. And it
Where
comes
books are
out.
sold.
Yeah, we all need to put it
And
out.
you guys, the audio is great because it's almost like I'm telling a story because I did it. I did the audio.
You did the audio.
Oh, the audio. Oh, and your voice is so distinct. Like it's so specific. So
Okay, so
I'm excited.
Listen to it. It's out August 17th it's Tuesday, August 17th, right?
Yes.
Yep.
All
We're
right.
getting close. Thank you, girls. That
We
was
really
a
hope to
pleasure.
see you again soon.
Yes, Dorinda.
We're gonna start spamming Andy. Like we're gonna start DMing him daily. Like we're just gonna
go ahead.
We already
do it.
We're
do.
gonna start trolling him.
I already say it every time I see some RHONY ladies. I'm like, I miss Dorinda.
Do
I
you?
miss her.
Yes, and they miss you too. It's obvious.
Yeah.
Well, you never know.
It's when it's you, like I understand how it's hard for you to sometimes see like how it affected the fans in the show, but for us on the outside, like watching it and not having you there, the absence is so strong, and it's just like you're so New York, and we're missing that. Even though some of the other ladies are as well, we're missing that New York like woman that's just and Bethany was like that, and so was
tells it like it is and doesn't put up with any bullshit, right?
Right. And I miss that kind of like tough New York woman.
Do you know what I saw the other day, which really was I forgot about, and I thought, what a beautiful moment. The last year when Hannah sits with me at the hamburger place, I really never took on. Do you remember when she gave me that speech when she says, I think I'm more proud of you now than I've ever been?
Yes, that was
like,
a moment.
That was real. Like,
That was a real moment.
We don't see Hannah much. She's like that crazy white panther that you only see every once in a while, because she would never film. No, I'm not doing it. What? No, and then she would give me one scene.
Good moment.
And I was like, you gave me one scene that season, and she killed it.
Wow.
I bawled. Remember?
Yeah, no, that was such a good moment. Dorinda, okay, this is the last question. If they tell you we're gonna hit play, would you say yes?
You know what? I don't. I would not. I would never say never.
Oh, you guys always say that. It's.
I just don't know right now. I mean, I would definitely be open to it because I love the show.
Yeah.
I love the show. I'd definitely be open to it. But it's I just think there's a lot of moving parts in the show now, and a lot of different. I would have to come back, and it would have to be a lot of. I would like to have a bigger cast. Like, I think it'd be fun if we went back and there were.
You guys
like
need
Beverly,
more for sure.
Like
they
Beverly
need more.
Hills.
Like
I think
Beverly
the reason
Hills.
why Beverly Hills works so great because there's so many of them.
Yeah, and there's also Kathy Hilton, who we love.
Yes, who I love.
It reminds me of you because the quick.
Yeah, well, you know what's so funny? When she said that time, hunky dory, it's something I would say because I said to Hannah one day, I said, "Come on, let's go, zippity doo dah, let's go." She's like, "What does that mean?"
Yeah, no, I thought the same. Well, Dorinda, we love you so much. Thank you for chatting with us, and everyone.
And I'll see you soon, I hope.
Yes.
Yes, we hope so.
I think we need to go to one of those great New York parties where we all run into each other. Remember those great parties?